Cynthia and Dave, thanks for the honor. Really, gray hairs shouldn't get honors like this. It's really the youngsters in uniform in the room and their spouses who matter. So it's a privilege, truly. Thank you so very much. But again, this is for our family. As Jack Jacobs said, those who have worn the cloth of the American Armed Forces. And speaking of that, Jack Jacobs is an extraordinary man. He and Sue represent the best of America, clearly a recipient of the Medal of Honor, but more than that. There are folks who purport to represent and to understand the armed forces and what we do. And then there are those who really have it. Jack Jacobs is one of those folks, whether it's on MSNBC or otherwise. Again, I salute Jack both for his service, his extraordinary service, and Sue, but also for what he has continued to do to communicate what it's like to serve, what it means to be in the air or on the ground or at sea, and importantly, to connect in ways that those of us still in uniform cannot do. So Jack, again, as a role model for all of us, thank you so very much. I'd like to thank Cynthia and Dave for their leadership of this wonderful foundation for the children of fallen patriots. And as I look around the ballroom, I'm sort of heartened by all the thoughtful and generous people who are united here really in one very special common cause, and that's caring for and providing opportunities for children who have lost a military parent. And I'd therefore like to thank all of you sincerely, and all of the supporters and sponsors of the foundation and certainly of this event. And Susie and I are humbled by your willingness to recognize us for the presentation of the Patriot Award. Please accept our sincere gratitude to the children of the Fallen Patriots Foundation for bestowing us with this distinction. And we all know that this sort of honor rarely, if ever, occurs without the steady support. In fact, it never occurs without the steady support of friends and coworkers and colleagues and most importantly, family members. And so first and foremost, if I may, I'd like to thank Susie, whose tremendous support and truly unwavering support for more than 30 years now has been a primary source of inspiration for my professional efforts, and in fact those of many others in our Air Force. So Miss Sue, thank you again. Love you. I'd certainly be remiss if I did not praise the men and women of certainly our Air Force, who I represent and Susie represents, but of our armed forces. Ladies and gentlemen, the most cohesive combined arms teams of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines and Coast Guardsmen that has ever been assembled. Their daily professional efforts, their remarkable sacrifice and selfless service is helping to defend our nation, and have made for me serving with them a singular privilege. And so representing them tonight is always a distinct honor. And as Susie will tell you, always very passionately and convincingly, the families of our service members are national treasures as well. Every day their loved ones serve. Military families contribute to the mission in substantial, if perhaps in indirect ways, always with great significance, but often with little fanfare. Our family members keep the home front solid so that our service members can focus on the mission. And we certainly are grateful. And for those family members that are here in the room tonight, we are grateful for your selfless service and those of all of our military families. Thank you. Most of all, we pay tribute to the families of the fallen, severely injured, and those missing in action, to whom, ladies and gentlemen, our debt of gratitude can never be repaid. We can attempt to fulfill the solemn obligation by meaningful and steady efforts to care for them, especially the children. So please, ladies and gentlemen, allow me a moment to speak about them. To all the children who have lost a parent, those in the room, your mom and dad will always be heroes to us. We will always remember that they gave their lives in the line of duty and in noble service to our country. And so we honor them and their ultimate expression of devotion to duty, the full measure of self-sacrifice. An entire nation, ladies and gentlemen, grateful Americans all over the country, salute them and their families. We have no greater responsibility, y'all, than ensuring the American dream for our children, to provide for them opportunities that our great nation affords, right? To inspire and encourage them, to push the limits, and if necessary, pick themselves up after setbacks, and to guide and mentor them toward their individual potential that collectively will illuminate our nation on a path toward a brighter future. What job can be more important than this? What? If ensuring America's promise for posterity is among the prominent principles on which and upon which our nation was founded, and certainly our society, then surely fidelity to this cause has to be among the most important of our priorities. That's why charitable organizations, such as the Children of the Fallen Patriots Foundation, is so vitally important. And captured in the Foundation's mission statement, a college education helps to ensure, and I quote, job opportunities in an increasingly knowledge-based economy. I couldn't agree more. But just to be certain, I reviewed some data recently from the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics and noted some fairly compelling unemployment trends relating to educational achievement. Over a 10-year period since 2002, in fact, the unemployment rate for those with a high school diploma but no college degree tended to be nearly double the rate for college graduates with at least a bachelor's degree. In a closer analysis over selected 3-year periods, one with sustained lower unemployment and the other with sustained higher unemployment, I think produced a more dramatic revelation. Even during the best of times in the last 10 years, those without a college degree suffered essentially the same unemployment rates as did college graduates during the worst of times, about 4.5% in each case, respectively. Predictably, the figures for high school graduates with some college or an associate's degree are better than with no college, but worse than for that with college degrees. Of course, there are many ways to interpret and evaluate the numbers, but generally speaking, based on these government data points, it's entirely reasonable to infer the positive correlation between a college education and the likelihood of future meaningful employment and overall success. Now, it is important for each of you to appreciate that college is not for everyone, and each one of the armed forces provides an honorable path to advance, even without a degree, if only initially. And I appreciate that many challenges still remain, that deserving children receive the aid they need, financial or otherwise, to attend college. I therefore would encourage continued involvement by all supporters here, as well as by others around the country, to help organizations like the Children of Fallen Patriots Foundation to provide necessary counseling during secondary school toward potential college admission, to streamline what is currently a tedious and often frustrating process to identify award grants and scholarships, and to bridge the gap between available funding sources and the actual cost of a college education. We can all be proud of the progress that has been made in these and other areas of activity, but I think we can all agree, all of us tonight, more can be done to provide support that is worthy of the sacrifice that is borne by the children of the fallen. Yes, the children of our fallen heroes. In fact, in President Lincoln's second inaugural address, he referred to the nation's moral obligation, quote, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, end quote. And today's servicemen and women serve ever nobly in the fine tradition that Lincoln addressed, the tradition of honor, ladies and gentlemen, of self-sacrifice and dedication and loyalty, timeless qualities that made this nation genuinely exceptional and which continue to sustain her greatness in government, in the private sector, anywhere you look. And it is particularly remarkable that many of our military families today volunteered to serve after the catastrophic events of 9/11, fully realizing that the nation was at war, and that we could remain at war for an unspecified period of time, as far as anyone could tell in the years shortly after 2001. Yet, for this amazing generation of service members, that did not deter their desire to answer the call. So, to invoke another president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who said, "This generation of Americans has a rendezvous with destiny." These ageless words were spoken in 1936, but they are fitting still to describe the current generation of young soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen, to be sure. And even as we adjust our presence in Afghanistan, make no mistake, wide-ranging security challenges loom in our future. And so our nation will continue to need the talent, the dedication, and the professional efforts of our men and women in uniform. As well, we will continue desperately to require the support of their families, of our families. Mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, extended families and close friends, particularly those of the fallen, severely wounded, and missing in action, are all a reflection of this enduring devotion to our nation and to each other, and of the commitment to help make the world, ladies and gentlemen, a safer place. Indeed, when our service members must make the ultimate sacrifice, the last full measure of devotion, our heartbreak must strengthen our enduring commitment to these timeless ideals. Thank you again for this beautiful evening of friendship and fellowship and camaraderie, and of solemn honor and tribute to the military and to the families and children of the fallen. Susie and I will always remember this marvelous moment, and certainly our time together. We genuinely wish you all the very, very best, and we are grateful for the recognition that you have afforded us tonight. Thank you very much.